Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Sports Stuff, and today we'll be talking about the Atlanta Falcons and their offseason plan. Now, I've already done the first three teams. I did the Jaguars, the Jets, and the Dolphins. Now I'm doing the Atlanta Falcons. So, let's get into it. I'm very excited. So they already hired a GM after they parted ways with the former GM that they had for something like 15, 16 years, I think they had him for. They hired a new one. Terry Fontenot from the Saints. He was their assistant GM from 2006 to 2020. He comes from a winning franchise, and guess what? Another person of color as GM. Let's go. I'm so excited. I love seeing people of color getting opportunities in the NFL. The fact that Andrew Berry last offseason, now Terry Fontenot this offseason, I'm very happy. With his time with the Saints, they were 138-86, which is a 6.616 average. And he drafted / signed. Well, he helped draft / sign 63 Pro Bowlers, which is very exciting. I'm very excited for Terry Fontenot. They got a good one. He was also being looked for in the Denver Broncos, so he was a very hot commodity, and the Atlanta Falcons got him. I'm very happy for the city of Atlanta because obviously the black representation in Atlanta is very big, and now they can look up and see, wow, there's now a person of color in charge of an NFL franchise in my city. I think it's great. I love it so much. Moving on, they also hired coach Arthur Smith. I think it was the perfect hire. He brings new raw energy to a team that feels dead in the water. Kind of like what I said with the Jets, with Robert Saleh. Instead, this is an offensive mind, though. He's a young offensive coach. Hopefully, he can rejuvenate Matt Ryan back to 2016 with the run game like he did with Matt Shanahan. Don't believe his name is Matt. I feel really dumb right now. I think I forgot his first name, but Shanahan with the 49ers. Obviously, he got a job with the 49ers after the 2016 season. I think Arthur Smith is that kind of coach where it's run first and you play action, which is what Matt Ryan does best. Like, he's a top half of the league, when he isn't going through play action, Matt Ryan is still a top 16 quarterback. I think he's elite when he's going off play action heavy, kind of like what Kevin Stefanski runs in Cleveland. I'm excited to see what Arthur Smith does with this amazing wide receiver core with Arthur Smith at the helm. Especially with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, if they can get Calvin Ridley long term, Hayden Hurst, this young and upcoming defense and offensive line, I'm excited for this team. Off-season moves, aka pending free agents. Now, this is the first time I'm also doing cuts. They're currently negative $32 million in the dead cap. Obviously, you can cut some people, you restructure contracts, and when you sign people, you do void years. So basically how the NFL does it is to work around the cap, kind of like Drew Brees. I think Drew Brees is a great example. He technically signed a 2-year deal, but it was a 1-year deal. But the way they did the contract with void years is they paid him like $20 million this year, $20 million next year, and then like 4 years of void years of like $5 million each. So it wasn't one $40 million contract in one season. It was split up between like 4 or 5 seasons, but he only plays for 1 year. But you sign him long term so you can move the cap around so you don't have the entire cap hit on one season. I think that's what they're going to do. They're probably going to restructure a lot of contracts to make it work like that. So where the players still get their guaranteed money, just later on in their lives, this won't all be in one season. It'll be within 5 seasons. So I think the Falcons are going to be one of the teams that probably do that. But they do need to release a couple people. I think Allen Bailey, you can probably get better production in the draft and in free agency. James Carpenter is a 29, 30-year-old guard, and you can save $4 million by cutting him. And then the big one is Ricardo Allen. You do have both your safeties in DeMonte Casey and Keanu Neal free agents, but Ricardo Allen is, in my opinion, the worst of the three. I think he's still good, but I think you can get better by retaining one of those safeties and then drafting someone or going for another safety in free agency. But you can save nearly $6.25 million, and that can be used to retain one of those other safeties that I think are more important to the team, which is what I did. But yeah, you can save $15 million just by cutting those three. Obviously, you can save, $900,000, $800,000 by cutting like some of the smaller contracts, but these are the big ones that matter. The first in-house free agent signing that you need to retain, I believe, is Alex Mack. He only allowed 1 sack with a 65.6 PFF. I think he's still one of the best centers in the league. He's gonna get a contract somewhere else, like the day one, if you don't retain him. He was snubbed of a Pro Bowl in my opinion. I still think he's one of the best centers in the league. Top 3 easily. He's the only reliable person, but he will be very expensive. So I think a 2-year deal. You try and backload it and void year as much as possible, but you got to retain him. I think he's worth top 3 money, and he's been getting paid like it. I think you need to continue that. If he's willing to come back, maybe a little bit cheaper, then cool. But if he's asking for a lot of money, you got to pay him. He's worth it. Younghoe Koo, that's right, Younghoe Koo, not Younghoe Koo. It's Younghoe Koo. He's one of the best kickers in the league, and not just young kickers. Just one of the best kickers in general. He's only 26, but he was 37 of 39 in field goals, which is the best and the most in the league. And he was 33 of 36 in point after attempts. I believe that is tied for one of the. I can't remember what the number was, but I know 37 field goals was the best and the most in the league, and 39 field goals was the most in the league. So he had the best percentage and the most attempts and makes. I'd give him a 4-year deal. I'd lock him up. He's just the best kicker in the league right now. This year he was the best kicker, so I think it's just important to keep him. At safety, Keanu Neal. Like I said, I would cut Ricardo Allen and move money towards Keanu Neal. He had 100 tackles, 9 TFLs, 3 QB hits, a sack, an interception, and 2 pass deflections. He had another fantastic year. He's one of the better pieces of their defense and one of the better safeties of the league. Still young at 25. I'd give him a 5-year deal, lock him up really long term. And again, when it's a 5-year deal, you backload that contract so the cap hit for the next 2 or 3 years isn't as much. While Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, I believe the deals come up in 24 and 23, like those off seasons. So if you backload Keanu Neal, the impact won't be as much. But you gotta keep this dude. He's your best safety. He might be your best secondary member, but he's a stud. He is a stud. He'll get signed for a big deal if he goes somewhere else. And I'd retain Todd Gurley. He had 600 yards and 9 touchdowns. He fits the the big physical running back that Arthur Smith has. If he can stay with the team he grew up supporting, and he stays in Atlanta, his hometown. Another 1-year deal, just to see what you can do. And if he has another good year, I'd probably sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal after the season. But I think having a veteran running back that is not Derrick Henry, like he's not even close to Derrick Henry. Maybe in another a couple years ago, but at this point he's just a physical running back that can hit you in the mouth and keep going. And that's what you need with this offense. If he carries over the Tennessee offense, you need a Derrick Henry type where it's big and physical, and that's what he is. Offseason moves, aka outside signing free agents and trades. I don't know if I had any trades for this team. Let me go back. I don't know if I had any trades for this team. I'm not going to lie. I think I just kept all their picks because they're a rebuilding team. I've signed Solomon Thomas, defensive end from the 49ers. He only played in 2 games and put up no stats because of injuries. He had a torn Achilles. He's had an okay career. It's okay. It's not outstanding, but it's definitely worthy of being in the NFL. It's a low risk, high reward signing, a 1-year deal. If he can become a running mate next to Grady Jarrett, Dante Fowler, and Marlon Davidson, I think it's a good signing. And if he doesn't do anything, he becomes another just average, 1 sack, barely any pressure. You can just move off him after 1 year. I think it's just a low risk, high reward kind of signing. Kerry Hyder on the other hand, defensive end for the 49ers as well. Had 8.5 sacks, 50 tackles, 10 TFLs, and 18 QB hits. This is his best year by far. He played due to influx of injuries on the 49ers. I believe the 49ers had close to $100 million in cap on the IR this season at one point. He proved worthy of a starting job, and he can be played if Thomas doesn't work out. He can be the running mate to that defensive line, but I think at minimum he's elite depth and a good starter. I'd give him a 2-year deal. He is 30 years old, so this might have been a breakout season, quote unquote, or it could have been a 1-year thing. But 3 years ago, he had 8 sacks as well, and then he went to Detroit. I would sign Kerry Hyder, see what you can do with him. And again, maybe just make it do a 1-year deal, a low risk, high reward again, kind of like Solomon Thomas. But I do 2 years. I think he's a proven commodity at this point. Karl Joseph. Now this hurts me, but Karl Joseph, safety from Cleveland. He had 67 tackles, 2 TFLs, an interception, 4 pass deflections. He is a hard hitter. He's not fast, but man, he can hit. He's a good fit next to Keanu Neal, who's very fast. He had a down year, so he should be pretty cheap. I just do a 1-year flyer. If you can somehow get him to have a pretty decent season and sign him long term, cool. But he is a big. I don't know if you'd say big. He's like 5'10", 5'11", but he packs a punch. Like even with the Raiders, he packed a punch, and in Cleveland, he packed a punch. So I would sign him to a 1 year because Keanu Neal's good. He's more of a speedster. He is a pretty good hitter. But Karl Joseph is in a league of his own, in my opinion. He's a physical safety. Like, he doesn't care if he gets hurt. He will hurt you as well. And then my last signing is John Feliciano from the Buffalo Bills at guard. He allowed 0 sacks with a 64.6 PFF. He had a solid year with Buffalo. They definitely need better veterans on this offensive line. They have a lot of really young people besides Jake Matthews and Alex Mack. They had a young guard, Justin McCray, and Chris Lindstrom, and the other tackle, I forgot his name, Caleb McGarry at tackle. Very young, up-and-coming offensive line outside of, their veterans. But if you can get John Feliciano to replace James Carpenter and mentor Chris Lindstrom, I think that'd be very good. Just do a 1-year deal. Again, veterans at this point just want to get money. You pay them a hefty 1-year deal, I think it'd be good. Now, this is what I think they should do with the draft. I think they should steadfast and get Zach Wilson. It's very interesting to see what the Jets are going to do. If they trade for Deshaun Watson, you're good. That means the Texans would then have the number 2 overall pick, and they'd either grab Zach Wilson or Justin Fields. I decided not to trade up and let the draft board fall to me, because no matter what, you're going to get a quarterback, whether that's Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Mac Jones. You're going to get a quarterback at 4 that can develop underneath Matt Ryan. And Zach Wilson is a better Ryan Tannehill, in my opinion. He's a young, better Ryan Tannehill. So Arthur Smith is going to love him. At 36, I got Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia. He's an edge. Very good. I got nothing really to say about him. I feel like he's a proven commodity. Najee Harris, who is my number 1 running back out of Alabama. At 68, he has the quads and calves of a god. But I think he can be a good running back, especially if he can develop a little bit more. That's why he wouldn't be the first day starter. But he'd be a good running back in this system, I believe. A year or 2 down the line, he'll be very good. So I think you sit him, have him as a backup for a year, and then next year let him go Rampant. Quincy Roche at 109, edge out of Miami. He had a down year because what's his name? Quincy Roche, because Gregory Rousseau, that's his name. Gregory Rousseau, he opted out of Miami, and Quincy Roche transferred to play with Gregory Rousseau, so he didn't have a good year because the person that he literally transferred to play with didn't play, so it was lacking in quality of players. But Quincy Roche is still a good edge. I think he'll be very good in the system. Josh Myers at center, just good depth and maybe eventual starter. Now, I grabbed Alec Lindstrom because imagine this, okay? Imagine you could play on the same offensive line as your brother. This is brother to Chris Lindstrom. This is his brother. Now, he can play guard. I wouldn't recommend it. I think Alec Lindstrom is a center at heart. So if you want to move Josh Myers out to left guard and keep Alec Lindstrom at center, imagine playing next to your brother. I just think it's so cool. So I had to. I know. It gave me a C+ on the draft grade. I'm sorry. I personally feel like I had to, so I did. Reed Blankenship is one of the best safeties in this class. It is a lackluster safety class, but he's definitely a top 5 safety. I was surprised to see him at 183. So when I saw that, I'm like, bet, I want him. Cole Van Lanen, just a depth tackle. And Marquez Stevenson is going to run probably a 4.41, 4.39, 40-yard dash. He's a quick receiver. Good Traquan Smith replacement. Your next receiver is Russell Gage, who is he's good, but I don't know when his contract comes up. It's just a depth wide receiver, nothing crazy. But it gave me an A-. I think it's a pretty good draft. But thank you guys for watching. Hope you did enjoy. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Comment down below. 28-3. Comment 28-3 and I'll give you a heart. If you want to see more from me, follow me on Twitch at NixTV. Follow me on TikTok at Nick Nasstrom. All the links will be in my description at the very bottom. Check me out on everything. Keep up to date with me. I'll see you guys later. Peace.